You're watching the Night Report at 10. Your news and weather headlines start right now.
We're fighting for survival.
Yes! Yes!
For our freedoms.
We love our land. We love our city.
For our rights.
I have my home, my family, my beloved people here.
For our life.
So I didn't have any other choice, just I have to protect it.
Nobody's gonna break us.
Everyone in here believes that we will win.
We're strong. We're Ukrainians.
While many are staying to fight, more than 670,000 people have fled war-torn Ukraine as Russia's deadly invasion continues for a sixth day. The United Nations is warning this could be Europe's largest refugee crisis this century. Cole Higgins has the latest.
Deadly Russian military strikes taking out a massive TV tower and damaging the Babin Yar Holocaust Memorial site in the Ukrainian capital Kyiv on Tuesday. Another attack destroying an apartment complex near a hospital.
Russians do not understand what they are doing. I want them to be killed.
Ukraine's foreign minister says they desperately need help fighting Russia in the air.
The problem is that Russia dominates in the sky.
The White House is remaining in regular contact with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky through a secure satellite phone provided to him by the U.S. government. President Biden spoke with Zelensky for a little over 30 minutes ahead of his State of the Union address Tuesday, tweeting afterwards that he and Zelensky discussed America's continued support for Ukraine and adding that the United States will hold Russia accountable and that sanctions against Russia are already having a devastating impact.
We spoke many times with President Biden, and I am thankful to him for these opportunities and support. But they also did not hear me. I've been telling them that Ukraine will fight hardest of all. You will see. But us alone against Russia, we would not be able to do it.
Russian state media says a second round of talks will happen Wednesday. Ukrainian officials have yet to confirm. I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
People around the world are offering up prayers for Ukraine. Pope Francis held a vigil for peace at the Vatican. And in North Dakota, members of St. Demetrius and St. John the Baptist Ukrainian churches in Fairfield and Belfield are doing the same. They're also holding a fundraiser at the Bijou Activity Center in Dickinson from 6 to 8 on Monday. Now, for nearly a week, Ukraine has suffered vicious attacks from Russia, which much of the rest of the world is condemning. Sanctions and boycotts against Russia are mounting, and that means North Dakota officials may need to rethink some of the state's investments. Joel Crane explains.
Officials in North Dakota are taking a closer look at the state's investments. Russia's attack on Ukraine has caused the board that oversees the management of the state's investments to reconsider some parts of the financial portfolio. The state has several investments in Russian entities, the first of which is a $500,000 bond which was originally issued by the Russian Federation. However, that was actually purchased from a third party, so the proceeds from our purchase of that bond didn't go towards the Russian government. North Dakota also has more than $900,000 in Gaz Capital, which is a gas company that's partly owned by the Russian government. There's also almost $16 million of the state's retirement and investment office funds and nearly $29 million of the state's land board funds that are invested in Russian entities. Lieutenant Governor Brent Sanford, who chairs the State Investment Board, said in a statement on Monday, North Dakota has received, reviewed, and is implementing advice from the U.S. Treasury Department related to investments in Russia. The situation is fluid and additional guidance is forthcoming. Some North Dakota lawmakers hope this leads to a more substantial shift in the way the state invests taxpayer dollars.
I think they need to take a very hard look at these investments and where we're putting North Dakota monies, whether it be Russia, whether it be China, whether it be in any other countries that are not friendly towards the United States, and quite frankly, if they don't serve the best interests of North Dakota.
In addition to investments in Russia, North Dakota also has millions of dollars invested in China, which has a history of being accused of human rights violations. The State Investment Board will meet on Thursday to consider North Dakota's investments. We'll keep you updated on this story as it progresses.
Let's get an update on the weather now from meteorologist Henry Blakes.
It looks like we're going to be in for another tricky travel night and morning as freezing rain and light snow continue to fall across the first warned viewing area. So we do remain under a winter weather advisory due to those slippery conditions until 9 o'clock Central Time Wednesday morning. For the time being, those precipitation chances are going to continue tonight, and possibly some fog and some freezing drizzle and mist for our morning commute. We may get a brief break during the afternoon. However, there will be another round of precipitation moving in afterwards. But a little bit of good news is that high pressure starts to try to settle things down. It does push that frontal system out of the way, but our temperatures will be gradually falling for tomorrow. Notice they're kind of holding steady and going up and down. So we're going with around 22 to 23 degrees for a high, but then we'll gradually be falling into the upper teens before you know it.
All right, thank you, Henry. Now, during his first State of the Union address, President Biden started off by reassuring Americans worried about war that this will only leave Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. He closed U.S. airspace to Russian aircraft and says we will protect NATO, but not with American boots on the ground. He says he's about to appoint a chief prosecutor for COVID fraud, plans to fix the tax system, and called to raise minimum wage to $15, crack down on the opioid crisis, and invest in health, mental health, and child care, and fight inflation.
Lower your costs, not your wages. More infrastructure and innovation in America. More goods moving faster and cheaper in America. More jobs where you can earn a good living in America. Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America.
North Dakota's and Montana's delegations are calling on the administration to invest in U.S. energy as well, in an effort to bring gas prices down, make the rest of the world less dependent on Russian oil, and prop up the U.S. economy. They're calling to increase U.S. energy production. Both of North Dakota's senators also helped introduce a bill to ban Russian oil imports and to remove Russian fuels from American supply chains. Now, this as Biden called today to release 30 million barrels of oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve to bring those gas prices down. It's part of a larger move for the International Energy Agency member states to release a collective 60 million barrels of crude oil. Now, in response to the president's address tonight, Montana Senator Steve Daines says he's lacked leadership on the world stage, emboldened our adversaries, and created an inflation crisis, a southern border crisis, and an American energy crisis, with Americans paying the price. Senator Kevin Cramer adds he's not serious about fixing the very real economic crises he's created, saying this is what Americans need to hear. It's time to change course. Senator John Hoeven saying now is a time for strength at home and abroad. Now, the 2020 census showed western North Dakota had the most growth in the country. That means there's one more legislative district, 23, which includes part of Williston proper. Yesterday was its first ever delegate convention. Now, the district now includes areas that used to be in districts 1 and 2. Officials say it's important to confirm which district you're a part of.
In Williston, it's like 26th Street north, and then it kind of wraps around that western part of the city that includes like the area by Menards and Sportsman's in that area, and then it runs all the way over to the state border, including Trenton.
The district can bring 74 delegates to the GOP state convention on April 1st and 2nd to vote on party endorsements and any possible rule changes. Well, career and technical education facilities in Williston, Watford City, and Dickinson will have to wait to receive grant funding through the state CTE board. Before members could sign off on allocating $68.3 million, they voted unanimously to hold off until they receive more documentation from the review team. They say they want to get everyone's viewpoints before making any decisions.
As leaders of career technical education in North Dakota, we have a responsibility to do right and serve in the best interest of our students, and that's what we set out, and that's what we need to finish with as well.
Executive Director at Wade 6 says they hope to finalize the funds in a few weeks. Now, when you call 911, the last thing you want is for no one to answer. Is that nearly a reality? Keep it here.
You're watching the Night Report at 10, live on KUMV-TV, your news leader.